Left of the box. And so this was coming out earlier this week, and I didn't know how to respond because, it takes a while for me to process these things. And, it's not necessarily clear by how I look that I'm non-binary. Not everyone knows that this flag here is the pride flag for non-binary. And not everyone knows how I came to this realization. And I have an Abernathy on my lap right now. To say hi to everyone. And I came to this realization later in life. It was really when I got onto social media and I saw people kind of questioning, or not questioning, but being more open about their gender identity and who they were. Because I had known some gender fluid people before, but I personally didn't see myself in them. I didn't relate at all. And so it never clued into me. And then it wasn't until I just did the simple thing of taking how I present out of the equation. Because I had always just assumed, since I was assigned female at birth and I present, traditionally female, therefore I must be female. But once I took how I present out of the equation and just focused on how I felt, it was like it made instant sense. It was just like a light bulb moment of clarity that people rarely get in their life. And I didn't know how much it had been weighing me down. It's kind of like the only way I can kind of describe it is like if you've had long hair for a long time and you get it cut really short, your head feels lighter. Like it was a weight I didn't know I was carrying. Because I remember as a child questioning what it was to be a girl, to be a female, to be a woman. I remember all my life saying out loud that I'm non-binary in so many different words, but never those words because they didn't exist when I was a kid. Non-binary wasn't a thing. So I was never able to explore that, express that. Instead, I felt like I needed to conform, to be the best little girl, to be the woman. And I became like hyper feminized in how I do my hair and my makeup because I thought that maybe if I was a good enough girl or a pretty enough woman, that somebody could find it in them to love me. And it was never going to work because I was trying to be something I wasn't. All of those years. To finally have this understanding about who I am. To be able to express it, to be in a country that's accepting of it. Going to the Pride events over the past few years, seeing little kids with NB flags, knowing who they are, with accepting family, with accepting friends, being able to express that from the get-go. It fills my heart with joy knowing that they get to do that. And right now, I am stricken down with terror that that might be taken away from them. To have this much advancement in our acceptance and going forward and understanding, to now suddenly have it ripped away. As soon as I realized who I was, it was an instant. There was no questioning it. I didn't have to wonder. I didn't have to ponder. I knew. And it's not something you can just easily explain because most people understand gender in a binary. They can understand trans women and trans men because they are still men and women. There's a science behind biology and all this sort of stuff, but, there's no non-binary biology. You just are. There's no non-binary genitalia. There's no way that I can, with any sort of fact or test or anything, prove to someone I am non-binary. It's just who I am. And I still get this a lot because people don't understand that. They only understand the binary. So they can accept trans women as women because they're women. They can accept trans men as men because they're men, but they don't understand this middle ground. And I get it all the time still from people who are understanding, people who are supportive, where I say I'm non-binary and they're like, oh, I accept that you identify that way, but really, you're a woman, right? I still get that. I still get people telling me that I have a mental illness because I don't know who I am, or that there's something wrong with me because, I don't identify as a male or a female. And because I present female, therefore I must be female. And it's a phase that I'm going through or something. I got my passport updated. Well, I had to get my passport so that I could go to the United States to go see the majority report. And when I went to get my passport updated, my birth certificate was too damaged to use for ID purposes. So I had to get a new birth certificate. And so I thought, you know what? That would be the perfect time to change the gender marker on it. And I'm not going to show you the whole thing because, privacy. But I remember holding this for the first time and seeing on my birth certificate the gender marked as X. And I remember feeling so happy that I got these. And now these things might be the thing that prevents me from ever going back to the United States to watch the majority report live. That it restricts my travel because there's still people who don't understand, who are bigoted, who don't get it. So many people in this online community even, they don't understand how I can get a freaking hair at a very inconvenient time right on my eyelash. I see lefty commenters, the political ones, saying, now's the time for unity and stuff like that. But so many people think that maybe because I don't look non-binary, it's not affecting me the same way, because not a single one of them reached out to me to just even check in on me. The ones who know who I am. And it's hard not to feel alone when it's hard to even explain who you are, to know this deep down inside. To be very isolated and that there's not many people like you, which is why it's so important for people like me to be in a visible place. Because I could have easily never told anyone I'm non-binary or queer, and it'd be safer for me. But what about all the people who need to see someone like me speaking out? To be there. All those little kids that are looking up to the adults to be their representation because they don't have the ability to do it themselves. All those kids that are looking for role models. People who aren't afraid to stand up and be proud about who they are. I don't know how I would have turned out had I known who I was when I was a kid. And I'm going to fight like hell to make sure that all those little kids right now who know who they are, that it will never be taken away from them. That they will have a better life than I had. That this will be one less thing that they have to worry about in their life. Because they deserve to grow up and enjoy being who they are, to explore who they are, not to be shunned by society. And so I will put up with it. I go online, I mention I'm non-binary, and right away there's people who are telling me I'm crazy and all that sort of stuff. But you know what? I'll take that if it prevents it from happening to those kids. But to see what is happening in our governments now, the way that they're backsliding, the way that they're so ready to take this away from us. Because they don't understand it, because of their fascistic reasons, because they're bigoted and they want people to fit into this nice little neat binary because it serves the capitalist class. Forcing us to conform into things that we're not, never being able to fully enjoy and explore our lives. All because it benefits the people at the top. I'm not a woman, and I don't want to be. I want to be who I am. I can't tolerate the thought of being forced back into that role. I'll never allow myself to be forced back into that role. You know, having this birth certificate, having this passport, it's a minor thing, but it is a thing. That it is the only physical proof I have that I'm non-binary. And in Alberta, they're threatening to take that away from people. Like, I don't think they would reissue my birth certificate. But there might come a time where I need to get a new passport. You know, it's on my driver's license. There might come a time where I can no longer have it on my driver's license. And we shouldn't be fighting to not go backwards. We need to be fighting to still go forwards, because there's still so many places where there's not an option to have an X gender. They want to refer to you as Mr. or Miss. Then there's so many people who get upset if they see anything non-binary on a fucking form. Like it affects them somehow. They don't have to. You know, if somebody refers to somebody as a person who can get pregnant or a birthing person, you know what they can do? They can simply correct the person and say, you know what, I'm a woman, and nothing happens. But with me, every time I want to be respected for the gender I am, I have to do an assessment. Am I safe to say it? Or am I going to be met with hostility? Am I going to face so many questions or confused looks or a lack of understanding or people dismissing me every single time I say it? And people who purposely will then disrespect me. But also the people who mean good but don't try. That one probably hurts more. The people who are the allies, who are the advocates, who will still look at me and be like, well, but you, like, really, you're a woman. We can't let this country go back that way. We can't let the United States go back that way. The next generation should have a better future than we have. But I'm not going to stop until I'm forced to. I'm not going to stop speaking up. I'm not going to stop doing this channel. I'm not going to stop being who I am until I'm forced to.